Hello, my name is Stephen Amsden of the South Berkshire Research Institute. It is July 8, 2015, and today we have a presentation that began over a year ago. The Power Transition Model and the Declaration of Sovereign Authority go hand in hand as part of the research study for solutions in a 21st century global society. The initial study focuses on identifying those elements comprising the actual problem for analysis, as detailed in the Power Transition Model, and the declaration and solution resulting from critical analysis of that model. Initially, there were several factors about our current paradigm: the war-based economy, issues involving monetary systems and currency, belief systems that we are accustomed to through society, religion, and education, and the politics of fear and delusion perpetuated by our system of government. Though most factors involving analysis of the problem revolved around the system of government, or perhaps more accurately, the nature of government itself, the reality behind these factors suggests that it is the tendency of humanity to believe in something that doesn't exist, namely that government was instituted amongst people for the benefit of humanity, and not recognizing that it is first and foremost a method of mind control to deny humanity of the knowledge it is lacking to find the solution. As important as the awareness phase of the project is to awaken humanity to this obscure knowledge, the focus was to shift the dialogue from analysis of the problem to actual solutions and what we as free individuals can actually do about it. The dialogue first focuses on the current system of government, its components and effects. Greed, fear, hate as the effects of the tools of secrecy, deception and terror, all under a hierarchy of centralized power, perpetuated by politics and religion, appears to be the major components of our system of government. But the issues of authority trace the source of the very existence of government back to the individual. The question put to government, "By whose authority do you rule?" eventually leads back to the true source of power, the power of individual sovereignty and free will. Recognizing that we as individuals sacrifice our power and authority under all forms of government to our own degradation is an enormous part of the solution, as it identifies the true source of that power as us, individual sovereign human beings. As the real identity of the source of power is recognized as such, the problem is known not as government per se, but the act of free will that surrenders that power to an outside authority, which we have come to know as government. So on one hand, we can say, yes, the source of the problem is the government, but it is by our own authority that we permit government to exist in the first place. So the problem is ours. It is us. Having identified the source and the nature of the problem, we now move on to the model we desire through the use of imagination and our own creativity, as we know that the power resides with us. It is not difficult to imagine a better model to live by, given our current paradigm, and we can be thankful for that part of the current paradigm for the vision to improve the conditions of our existence for all global citizens. The model may be simplistic and incomplete, but it serves as a conceptual model for moving forward with our shift in dialogue. We can see that changing our economic forces to reflect the values of knowledge, understanding, and compassion requires the principles of transparency, disclosure, and cooperation, and that the convergence of science and spirituality under natural law will serve these purposes. The great difficulty resides in the transition between the two models, or the transitional bridge. The how do we get there from here? That is the quintessential question of our time. Focusing now on the transitional bridge of the model reveals a number of components that are pillars of such a bridge we are building to a new 21st century paradigm of human existence, and we are the social architects. The process of building the bridge is by way we cross over to the future model we desire, while disengaging from the old model. This is why it is called the power transition model. So, to recap, we identify the components and source of the original problem. We imagine the new paradigm first by envisioning it, and then we create the process by which we achieve it. Each three parts of the model are essential to each other, one not existing without the other for the eventual and gradual transition to the new 21st century paradigm. Now, as the model serves us as a simplistic illustration of the concept of defining our world, the real focus of this model is on the bridge itself. Certainly there are other pillars to be identified. This model is but an example. However, it does illustrate the concept, where we are going, and how to get there, with a focus on the 21st century transitional bridge. For the sake of this shift in dialogue to focus on the transition, a closer look at values, principles, and natural law are essential, as these are the underpinnings of this bridge, and therefore require closer scrutiny. This is where the Declaration comes into play. The Declaration of Sovereign Authority is designed to reflect those values and principles as defined in the original Declaration, but applying them to all global citizens, regardless of nationality, race, religion, social standing, etc. It reflects those human rights recognized by natural law as universal and inviolable, where no government or individual can refute, deny, or subjugate. This necessarily invokes the notion of sovereignty and authority, which could be considered the two main pillars of the bridge. The others, secession, volunteerism, currency reset, open source technology, etc., represents the tools or methods by which the arch of the bridge is built between the two main pillars of authority and sovereignty. If we are to consider such an endeavor, the principles of freedom needs to be addressed, as the economic forces necessary to ensure such freedom are built upon these. How do we address a world without government? First is to recognize the true source of authority as individual sovereignty under natural law, that each of us are a holographic representation of the one true and supreme power of the universe. In each of us dwells the divine spark of life that has been granted us, constitutes our soul, and is a perfect representation of the whole. This is the nature of our holographic existence, as we are coming to know through science and quantum theory, and by which we will discover the nature of the human soul. Our imperfect knowledge of this is what keeps us locked in our current war-based paradigm, and comes back again to the awareness feature of the transition model. For essential understanding of this process to occur, we not only recognize that we ourselves are the source of the problem, but also the source of the solution. It is not a difficult concept to understand once our consciousness is made aware of it. Should you find errors or omissions in this model, it is up to you to fill in the blanks. In the spirit of open source collaboration and transparency, it is a living document to be modified and perfected without compromising the essential underlying principles of natural law, individual freedom, sovereignty, and authority. The choices we make as sovereign individuals determines our future. There is the false self that has been determined by society, and the intuitive self that is determined by consciousness. Which one we embrace as the source of authority is what makes the difference. This is how we disengage from the old paradigm and embrace the new. We all have a choice to make, and whether we make it or not, it will still be decided or decided for us.